Welcome into Command Center Camp coverage, sponsored by Ortho Virginia, official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. Commanders family, we are bringing you a live look at an Ortho Virginia training facility out here in Ashburn, Virginia, where practice is just getting underway. We've got the fans in the stands, which means you know what? It is going to be a good day. Fellas, Brian Coble Jr. here with Santana Moss, Fred Smoot. We got the whole crew with us. We got London Fletcher, Logan Paulson, and Sean Spriggs on the sidelines, ready to give you all kind of analysis from the field. But before we do that, fellas, the fans is here. Yesterday was the first day welcoming fans back. We had fans come from Montreal, 12-hour drive. Massachusetts, 7-hour drive. How cool is it to see the fans pull up and show out for day one?
I think it's exciting, man, just to know as a player that you have these kind of fans that want to support this, this team and this franchise, and just knowing that if you wasn't here before, hearing some of the stories, it's a great sign just knowing that we got people showing up and showing out, knowing that we got something in store for them this year.
That's the best thing about doing radio. I get to talk to these. I get to talk to them all the time. We got fans in Australia. We got fans in London. I've talked to fans in Canada. I've talked to fans in Mexico. I've talked to fans everywhere. So it don't shock me when people say, you know what? Let's get in this car. Let's drive 10 miles to go see our team. That's fandom. That's how you know it's preseason. That's how you know football is back. You can smell the grass in there right now. It ain't quite 95 degrees like it usually be, but it's hot and it's football weather.
Well, thankfully it's not 95 for our guys because this is the day they have the pads on. They are fully padded. Fred, I'm going to stick with you here as a defender. When them pads come on, something just changed a little bit, right? How are you feeling when the pads come on?
I actually feel safer when the pads on. I'm not scared to hit the ground. I know we finna get a little dirty. That's the thing about it is, and it also tells me now, it's really time for some football. Like we all off season, we been having these pillow fights and we've been going against each other. But now it's all for the gravy right now.
And Tanner, you weren't scared of no contact.
No,
even though you were a receiver, you weren't scared of no contact. What was it like when you got to put them pads on for yourself?
Well, I had mixed views of it. One, I just know as a receiver, I'm running all day, routes, you name it, and all that stuff. So I just didn't like all that load on me. But I knew when the pass got on in practice, that meant it was a go time. It was time for us to thud a little bit. It was time for me to touch the ground a couple of times more than I had before. But it was something that I look forward to because I know I had to do it sooner or later.
Fellas,
and don't get it twisted. We also coming out here, and the things we don't get with regular practice that we get now is the fans are watching us practice. So even if me and Tanner going to each other in one-on-one, we don't want to lose that one-on-one because the fans don't forget these things.
A little extra pressure there. We have so much fun to talk about. We have a lot of good things to talk about, but we cannot start our show without sending it down to our fearless leader. That's right, head coach Dan Quinn and Logan Paulson caught up before training camp. Let's send it down to Logan and Coach for the Camp Blueprint, brought to you by Clark Construction, the official construction partner of the Washington Commanders.
Coach, exciting day today. We got the fans out here. We got the first day of pads. How do you manage that emotion, and what are you looking for today?
Yeah, I think, as you know, it's a little bit of a tell the truth day, but it's also think of like boxing and sparring. So you're always in control. There's, sparring isn't the same as fighting, so it's a matter of like being in control and working that. But really, at the end of it, it's a line of scrimmage, run game, pass protection. That's what I want to see because doing it in control and working combinations, that's what it has to be. So it's really emphasized, for the front seven, both sides of the ball.
Yeah, finally get some attention to those big guys, right? It's been 7-on-7 this whole time. So this is your 5th practice. Obviously, you've had a lot of practices through the offseason, OTAs, minicamp. What are your thoughts on the coordinators so far? I feel like they've been really impressive. Want to get your take.
I think the thing that's jumped out at me about them and about the staff is just their ability to teach and connect and find the examples, find the good plays, the bad plays. What did you see? How do you fix it? And so seeing that connection take place has been good because the coordinators are also leading the whole staff. And so are we getting enough? Are we seeing this look? And what else needs to change? So I've been really pleased with the guys so far.
I'm sure it's great to see that whole staff coming together, right?
Yeah, and they've just got a great connection, much like you see with the team. And so, like, if it's an example for the coaches and the players can see that will trickle down. And as you know firsthand as a player, you see a lot. And you know when its staff's really connected and when they're not. And so I think if you'd ask the players, they would see a group here that is like rock solid together.
Yeah, awesome, Coach. Thanks so much. And it's a testament to you and your hiring ability for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Logan and Coach, man. Always good starting off the show with you guys. And fellas, Fred, you kind of touched on it before we sent it to Coach. The intensity here. It's ramped up because the fans is here. It's ramped up because the pads is here. It's ramped up because it's hot. How much did you love that intensity as a player?
Well, it's also ramped up because we got 40 free agents on this team. We got guys trying to make this roster. It's amped up because it's a new coaching staff. And even as I'm an old player, I need to leave an impression on my new coaches. It's ramped up because this is a new era. It's a new time. It's a new everything here. So the thing about it is, not only if you're a fan, is your intensity up, but if you're a player, you're here to make an imprint on this team. And you here to let them know that I want to be a part of the future. That's the bad thing about training camp. We go in here with 100 of us, but we know at the end of the day, only 53 of us going to make this team. So that's the thing about it. It comes with a realization to it.
And you talk about this chemistry here for this team. Fred talked about all of these different guys we got. New free agents, new coaching staff, new quarterbacks. How important is building that chemistry in these moments as opposed to the preseason?
I think it's very important. I think especially when you're, and he just mentioned about, having 40 new free agents or 40 new players. When you're new, especially just trying to say, okay, I want to get a little bit more normalcy or, get the same feel that I felt on my former team. You want to get in here and say, let me get on the ball and make sure that these guys know me. Let me get on the ball and make sure these guys understand that, I'm not going to just be this guy that came in here and that's going to, that you say, oh, I know him from what he did, but I'm going to get ball rolling right now and try to get familiar with my quarterback, the other receivers, the running backs, all those guys on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, chemistry was all about saying, hey, if I didn't get that rep in practice, I'm going to find a way to get it after practice. And when we off in the meeting rooms or we off in the locker room having fun, chilling out, I'm going to go up to you and ask you those tough questions now so I have it in my head going forward if I didn't do it right the first time.
That's what you want to do. Like, that's how you actually get closer, by troubleshooting, by figuring out, problem solving. That's what this is about. The thing about preseason games, we're only going to show so much in it. But practice allows us to show everything. It's full, free competition.
And you talk about showing everything. You got to stand out here, right? You only have so much time to stand out.
So many reps.
Both of you guys have been veterans that went to a new team. Fred, how did you stand out?
Well, the thing about it, I talk a lot. Think about it. So so when you make a lot of noise, people start to looking like what's going on over there. And when I make a play, I'm not afraid to let you know I made that play. And I want to make that play over and over again because I'm not just trying to make that play for myself. I'm trying to gain the respect of my new teammates. I'm trying to tell them, this is Fred Smoot's norm. Get used to this because this is what I'm going to give you every day. And the one thing I can say about me is, I love a good practice day. Everybody don't like the practice. I love practice because that makes me closer to my teammates.
I mean, he said it best. I think, making plays for me, as a receiver, I remember that first day I got here, man, and it was like one of those things was, we talk about the grass ain't always greener, but the grass was green when I got here. It was bright green, and I wanted to make an impact out the gate knowing that, hey, these guys trusted me to be the receiver that they felt like they didn't have last year. So every time I got a chance to make a play, I remember me and Sean, I'm sure he remember this, the first live rep I got to go with Sean, we went deep, and I remember all the receivers meeting me in the end zone, and I kind of dunked the football over the goalpost, and I said, that's the type of day. And then Greg Williams looked at me like, don't you ain't gonna do that again. Don't be doing that out here with me. So plays like that, making an impact, showing the team both sides, offensively and defensively, this is who you got. This is the number 89 you got. I'm gonna come out here with this kind of intensity every day and try to make these plays.
And just like you all, we have veterans, we have young guys that are coming out here trying to make a name for themselves. So let's get into this defense. Let's talk defensive line first. We heard from Deron Payne, and he talked about Cleveland Farrell. Talked about these guys that adding this speed, this addition to it. Got the fans in the back. Oh, wait 1 second. My producer's telling me right now the guys is getting ready to turn up a little bit. Back there we are.
And this is the new energy.
This is new energy.
People got to get used to this. This is how practice starts. They start with intensity, and this is what they want for 2 hours. This ain't just for looks. This ain't just for show. He wants to get the pot boiling quick, and that's what you do when you got a new team. You say, this is how we going to start, and this is how we going to end with intensity.
Got to get your mind right.
I got to get my mind right. Commanders fans, I got a little nervous. I didn't realize they were getting ready behind us. It's good stuff to be here, but let's again talk about this defensive line. We talk about intensity. This defensive line is going to be intense. Cleveland Farrell, a new addition. Lawrence Armstrong, a new addition. Fred, how are you feeling about this defensive line?
I'm feeling good about this defensive line. If you cannot win trench warfare, you cannot win football. I feel good about the fat boys. I say they smell like bacon. Every time I walk in there for breakfast, I want to know where the bacon is. John Allen, he's a guy that's been here, been a staple. Deron Payne been a staple. The thing about it is, you haven't been a staple for DA. You haven't been a staple for this coach. You haven't been a staple for Coach Wick. So now they want to come out here and say, you know what? This is still our team. Thank y'all for coming. But this team identity has been the D-line for so long. Can they keep that up? I hope so, but I think we got a good group.
And now it's looking like the linebacking core will be a big identity of this defense. It's kind of the same things going on. We got a Jamin Davis. We got a Jordan McGee. These young guys that get to learn from a Lou, who's also a young guy, but then a Bobby Wagner, who's a future Hall of Famer. Tanner, how important is that to have that veteran leadership for these young guys?
I think it's great. I think one of the things that we talked about, I think tirelessly, throughout the last few years is, that's where we was missing, that veteran leadership at the linebacker position.
That middle.
We go out there and we was picking guys up, and they played decent, but we didn't have a guy that could be that London Fletcher.
Game changer.
One of those guys that can be a staple and that can like get everybody in line. And when things are not going right, he's going to be the guy that's talking to all the other guys, telling them to get their behinds in order. So it's great to know what we have. Bobby Yellow Jacket.
Yellow
Fred Smoot said. Bobby Yellow Jacket. And then you got Louisville, man. This guy's. He plays like
jumps off the screen.
You're watching him on the field. It's like Sonic the Hedgehog.
For sure.
He flies around, covering guys, running, getting in the backfield. So it's great just to know that we kind of solidified, that second end of our defense. And you only can look up because what we've seen the last 4 years wasn't so good.
No, it wasn't good.
And it's so electric, man. I mean, Frankie Louvu made a play yesterday. Just going across the field, making a play in coverage. A guy that size, moving like that, very, very impressive, and a dynamic playmaker. Speaking of dynamic defensive playmakers, we got our guys sitting on the sideline. It's time for some healthy competition. Brought to you by Ortho Virginia, official orthopedic and sports medicine partner of the Washington Commanders. We have Logan Paulson, London Fletcher, and Sean Springs down on the field. Fellas, we are talking all things defense, so of course, we got to throw it to some defensive playmakers.
Thanks, guys. Logan Paulson here with the captain, London Fletcher.
Yes.
And Sean Springs. Good to see you, buddy.
The
Yeah,
playmaker.
is that what we're calling you now, the playmaker?
Yeah, that's what I call him.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, because Smoot doesn't make any plays.
All right, so we're talking defensive line today, guys, and I think one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is defensive personalities, right?
Yep.
Is as a defensive coordinator, as a play caller, how can you elevate that group? Because I think everyone looks at that, and there's no big names outside of the two interior players. Everyone's like, where's the pass rush going to come from? Joe Witt Jr., how can he make that group more dynamic?
Yeah, well, first thing is how you coach them. They brought in a former teammate of mine, Daryl Tapp, who came from the San Francisco 49ers. And when you thought about the San Francisco 49ers, they were led by their defensive front, getting pressure in the quarterback's lap, being extremely disruptive. And you look at our guys, we have two interior defensive pass rushers in Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, explosive, disruptive pass rushers. You go out and you sign Dorrance Armstrong in free agency. They brought him from the Dallas Cowboys. He was more of a situational guy last year. He'll be looked at to play a major role for us. Then you also bring in Dante Fowler Jr., another guy who can come off the edge. And then the second round pick, and Johnny Newton, another disruptive guy. So when the identity of this defensive line will be a shift. You'll see a lot of guys looking at create pressure, get into the backfield. There's not a lot of taking on blocks. You'll see a disruptive group getting after the quarterback.
And I think this drill is really interesting to watch, right? Because we're getting a shift, a stem, and working on setting a vertical edge on the bag. Obviously, they're transitioning now, but I think those are types of things we didn't see a lot last year, right?
And
moving the front, kind of getting guys in better positions. Sean, how does that affect the secondary when guys are a little bit more aggressive up front?
Well, when you talk about all the names that London talked about, you talk about depth. So one thing is the secondary, we're always looking for the pass rush to be constant. We know the first group is going to come in, but when the second and third down or longer drive, you need some of the players that rotate the big guys out, keep them fresh. Payne and Allen going to crush it. But now you're talking about individual front stems. You're talking about getting on a.
Here's John right here getting his rep.
Yeah, John is just he's a man child. But you even notice they don't go straight down the middle. They get on the edge. They shift to move around a little bit. Very active up front, and I think when you have guys that athletic and big, that's the difference.
Well, so just to touch on this drill they're doing where they're starting off in one, let's call it the A gap, and then they're shifting to, let's call it the B gap. What this does, and from an offensive line standpoint, you may see us come out in the over front.
Yep.
And now it's to the strength, and you got the one technique to the weakness or the open side of the defense. Now all of a sudden you shift, you stem, and that changes the blocking pattern, the assignments for the offensive lineman, but they're doing it in a split second, and a lot of times right before the snap of the ball, and now it forces that offensive line. It really limits their ability to make new calls and figure out, okay, who's my.
Because they also got the linebackers who also are understanding those adjustments as well.
But as from an offensive line standpoint, you make a different call against an over front than you would from against an under defense. So it messes with the pass pro and also gives the guy an opportunity to maybe get a more favorable matchup. So that's something we didn't. I don't remember us doing it much at all last year with the stemming and things like that. And you talked about guys playing more on the edge and trying to really get penetration on the edges of the offensive lineman.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it's those little things, right? Yep. Like the holding the coverage, the stemming the front that gives the offense a little bit of indecision. And when the offense is indecisive, they're not an effective offense, right?
Right.
And so if you can throw, this is a very low cost adjustment for the defense, right?
Right.
It's something that you work on a couple times, an individual, and it pays huge dividends in the season, right? And now we're working on a little bit of drills change. We're working on a little pin pull, guard reads, right? Outside zone, inside zone. And again, this is one of the kind of the core tenets of defensive line, in my opinion, right, is reading the nape of that neck, reading that near side number. Does it go away? Do I chase down? Do I get the down block coming back to me? Fletch, I know you're playing linebacker, but this to me seems like something that would help you out as a linebacker if a guy understands exactly how to read these block combinations.
Absolutely. If you're in that front seven and you're looking at your keys, so you're watching the guards, and if you see a guard pull and things like that, how quickly can you redirect? How quickly can you see where the ball's going? And then you also have to make a split decision in terms of, my gap may have been here right now, but with the pinning and the pulling and the guard moving, now I have to figure out on the fly who's my fit, how do I fit in terms of who am I getting this ball to, where's my safety, and all those types of things. And happening and doing it and drilling it like this, it just helps you play a lot faster as a defensive player.
And I always talk about front end coverage as we're going to be talking about the defenses. Like, it's important as a nickel guy or a linebacker, anybody who's playing in that box, understanding the adjustments for the guys up front. A ram stunt, which means the guys are crashing in. That might push the ball to a guy. So even guys in the box need to really understand how the front is adjusting. What I'm really excited about is the flexibility. The flexibility, because now you got guys like Payne. I've seen him a couple times who just play right up at the zero technique and just bull rush the center, right? And then you got Jonathan Allen, who can probably move out to end if he had to. He's good enough to do that.
Yeah, and they did that with Payne late in the season last year. Guy we haven't talked about, and I know I haven't talked about, I don't know if you guys have talked about, Cleveland Farrell, former number 4 overall draft pick by the Raiders, was with San Francisco last year, came here, signed as a free agent. I can see him as being a first and second down type of guy, more of a run stopper for you. He has some ability to get after the quarterback as well, but a guy who really, just a physical specimen. Love his makeup and his size and things like that. He's a guy who hasn't gotten a lot of attention, maybe could really shine and show up this season for us.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's him, Cleveland Farrell, and Dorrance Armstrong.
Yes.
Both those guys are new, and I think, they paid Dorrance like he's going to be a significant pass rusher. And you saw him kind of in spot duty last year, lining up inside, lining up outside. Sean, you talked about the flexibility there, but I think both those guys bring that, right? And you mesh and you kind of marry that with Dante Fowler. You get 3 dudes that allow you to just be more flexible, more varied in terms of defensive approach. You talked about how just the little stem affects the offense. I look at those different personnels and we come out, it's like, who are the bigs?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And touch on why that's important. You talk about who are the bigs and how that affects you as an offensive lineman or as an offensive line. How did that affect identifying who the bigs are?
Well, we got a guy coming in who doesn't know anything about bigs, so I'm going to talk while Fred's just going to stand here for a second and listen to me while I talk. I know it's going to make it hard for Fred. But I'm saying the bigs are super important because, we have a meeting every single week as an offensive staff to say these are the guys the O-line is accounting for in protection. These other guys, these littles are guys who want the back to block. So having guys
like me as a linebacker, I'd be a little.
Yeah, you're a little, right? So back's got you, right? Fred's a little, obviously. No.
He ain't coming in the box though
at all.
Then, guys like Jamin, guys that play different spots. Frankie Luvu is another great example of that, right?
Yes.
It makes it really unsure because you're like, in certain packages this guy's a big, certain packages this guy's a little, and that's where you get mental mistakes and fog, like the fog of war.
So think about this, and for our fans watching, last year with Dallas, Micah Parsons, some personnel groupings, he was a big.
Yep.
He was a fourth rusher.
Yep.
And then sometimes he was a little. He was
a
off
speed.
he was an
Yep.
off the ball backer, and that affects. So now, hey, is he a big? Is he count? Are we counting him as a rusher, or is he an off the ball linebacker? And that made a difference. And when you have a guy like that with that type of versatility, maybe a Frankie Louvu.
I've been saying you got Frankie Louvu to do that. I think that Jamin Davis is another guy you had to come out there and say, is he big or is he speed? Like, these are the guys that you had to say, all right, who are, like you said, am I matching the running back up with this guy? Am I matching the tight end up with this guy? And I think that's where we're going to confuse a lot of guys, especially when we have 3 D tackles on the field, when we got John Allen, Payne, and Newton. So, so at the end of the day, I think when they play even fronts and nine fronts, I think it's going to confuse a lot of offenses in the league.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a really nice transition to linebackers, right, and what that group can bring for us. You know what I'm saying? We've got right now they're working tackling drill over here. I think that's one thing that I love about this staff is they said we want to be a good tackling team, and every single day they've worked tackling. And so you guys are all defensive guys. Talk about why that's so important.
Sean tackle smooth. He's not talking tackling.
Fred, you can leave for a second. Right. But what's important, what you said, every single day we talk about it. So that's the attitude. And tackling doesn't start when you come on the field. It starts with the attitude in our locker room, in the team meetings about how we're going to get after the ball, make plays, and it's critical. You know, you can't be a good dominant defense if you miss tackles. That's just plain and simple. So guys got to understand the importance of rallying to the ball, everybody to the ball, and we can get the guy down.
Hey, get a mic to a tackler. At the end of the day, no. The only reason, like Coach Gibbs used to tell me, son, you're a great tackler because you don't let people catch the ball. See, when you don't let them catch the ball, you got to worry about tackling. But these guys knew if London gonna start the tackle, I'm gonna finish the tackle. And that's just the thing is.
Act like he made the tackle.
No, that's what it is. That's what great defenses do. More than one person on the ball. And when you see these guys run to the ball, it's usually 5, 6, 7 good guys at the ball.
I got to put you on blast here.
Please do. That's fine.
Like, we got a group text.
Oh, yeah. Why you got to bring up all the time? Bring it up.
So we get clips of Fletch just absolutely tattooing people.
All right, so did I not sit there?
I'm talking. All right. Knocking people on their butts, being really physical. Then we get a clip of Fred closing his eyes.
Turning it down.
You say you're about it, Fred, but like
I was about like if you look close enough, you can find some on all us that ain't good.
Every now and then, Fred will lay a little lumber.
I can find some of those clips.
I want to just talking about tackling, and then we'll transition to the defensive backs.
Yeah.
In today's NFL, because you don't have a lot of padded practices, it's vital that you work on body position. Even like we got pads on the day, so guys will get in great position. But as the season progresses and you have a shell zone, you don't have pads on. Making sure you're doing the thing in terms of getting yourself in a right body position. One of the reasons I felt like there's so many missed tackles in today's NFL is they don't. You practice so many bad habits where you as a defensive back, you're coming up and you're tapping, but you're not putting yourself in great body position like you would in the game. So you have to mimic those things because that's muscle memory, and it's a great opportunity for us to transition and talk about our secondary, Logan.
Yeah, to me, this is one of the most interesting groups by far.
Yes,
because they've got so many different body types, they got so many different skill sets. Fred, you've talked about that a ton, just how much you love all the different kind of body types, the different usage patterns. But, one of the things that sticks out to me is we've kind of got like a 3-headed monster here in terms of the starting guys. What have you seen from Forbes, St. Juste, and Davis that kind of says they fit Joe Witt or they don't fit Joe Witt?
Well, first of all, you got to talk about defensive coach that like tall corners. So St. Juste feels that bucket. Emmanuel Ford feels that bucket. Then you got a guy that's bigger than them, and Mike Davis, a guy that can go out there, a veteran that can make plays. So when you see this group, you say, all right, who's going to be the left corner, who's going to be the right corner? I think they taking that same approach we did with Greg Williams. I don't have 11 starters. I got 20 starters. It's all about who needs to play that week, who's the great matchup that week. And I think that's the approach they're going to take. And not just with the cornerback position. I think they're going to take that with Jeremy Chin and Defoe in the safety position also. Put it like this. When you got a lot of players that can play, that's not a bad problem to have. And I think they got that in the defensive backfield. And don't forget a guy like Max Sanchez-Steele. He's the guy that's jumping out to me because I think he's wise before his years. He's one of those guys that just come in and like, all right, this is what you want me to do. I can get the job done. I wouldn't be shocked if he started off the year making plays.
And Sean, can you talk about this drill a little bit? I see a drill where you got a box player, kind of a defensive back, nickel player, kind of fighting off a cracking wide receiver and fitting the ball carrier. Talk about how challenging that could be for these defensive backs.
Well, oftentimes as defensive back, you're always looking to see where the ball carrier is, so your eyes in the backfield. So what they're telling the defensive player is attack the block first, defeat the block, look at him, put your hands on him, then shed the block, and then go to the tackle. Because as a rookie, oftentimes you getting blocked and you got your eyes in the backfield and you continue. But these guys are doing an excellent job of just showing defeat the block drill.
Well, and also this teaches proper gap responsibility. Gap responsibility, because oftentimes you'll see a guy get crack blocked and they'll go over that block. Now when he gets cracked, that's a safety getting cracked. So the corner should all of a sudden now he's the guy who's going to be the guy that's responsible for making that tackle. Oftentimes you'll see that safety get cracked and he'll what we call pop the block, go outside, and now you end up with two guys outside the blocker, and the ball cuts up inside. So this is about gap responsibility, run responsibility. We talk a lot about gap responsibility from a front standpoint with the defensive line and linebackers, but run fits on the secondary is extremely important as well.
And I was about to say, like, this is where modern offense is going. They want lesser run players, you know, your safeties, your nickels, to have to fit the run. And you look at a team like the LA Rams, like they live in this, right?
They want
they say our receivers are better blockers than you are better run players. So to make sure this is a point of emphasis today, I think is extremely important. Now, if we kind of jump over to the defensive backs, the corners, right?
Cornerbacks,
they're working coverage, right? They're kind of chasing that hip. Fred, you're always talking about kind of how you kind of got to play these different route combinations. Specifically on a one-on-one, you kind of want to be in that low hip, not too close, not too far. Can you talk about why that's so important?
Body position is everything, and understanding what can I weaponize on the field. I can weaponize my free safety in the middle of the field, and I can weaponize the sideline. They're teaching them your body position is everything at cornerback, because the one thing we can't have at corner is wasted movement. London just talked about it in the run game. If you wait too long, that hole becomes a big hole. So everything at the defensive back is timing and where's your body position and where's your eye discipline. If you're looking at the right thing as a corner, you usually respond to the right thing. You can talk about that, son.
And that's what they're looking at. So they're looking at the end of the line of scrimmage. So if they've got the offensive player blocks, then the corner knows he can attack and replace. If the offensive player, he gets back in a pass set, guess what happens? Now they can drop back in coverage. They know that they are always in the bond as also part of the run fit in the box and also part of the passing coverage.
It's all about finding your keys. Like Sean just said, look at the tackle. I could always look at a tackle, and if he had light hands, I know it's a pass play. If he had high hands, hey, come on, Lon. You can say when they swept the ball on my side, I was already in the backfield most of the time, but because I'm looking for keys. Any key that you can give me, especially when I know they getting us small to run at us, these are the things I'm looking at.
Well, and those drills complement each other, because first you had the safeties getting cracked, and the corners now replaced on the outside. So you can see these guys are working together in the same drills, even though they're in different drills.
Because it's kind of three-pronged. You got run fits here, now they're working coverage stuff with the safeties. These are the nickel players over here. Everyone talks about those nickel players. You got Sandersville over there, obviously. You got Blue over there. You got Egbenogany over there. Guys that are kind of going to be your nickel guys, working nickel skill sets. And then on the far side, you got outside guys.
Corners.
Obviously, everyone's kind of doing something different. And I just see guys chasing the hip over on that far side, working more coverage emphasis. And these are kind of your nickel, your safety, your dime kind of run fit players.
I'll tell you this. This is some outstanding coaching going on out. This is some outstanding coaching.
Next level.
This is my first time really being able to be out here on the field and truly watch them in individual drills. And it started with us watching the defensive lineman. Then we watched the linebacker. Now we're watching the secondary, and three different groups doing different things. And just the coaching is just outstanding.
Where the attention to detail, because we've been out here, Sean, when all the DBs, we're doing the same thing, all the corners, all the safeties, all the nickel, when our job is not the same. And I like them to individualize things and understand that, hey, Mike Sanders still ain't going to be doing what Emmanuel Forbes is doing. So let's make sure they all doing what they're going to have to do in a game. So most definitely, I like what they're doing as the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty fantastic. Now we get the safeties working, tackling again, right? We get them working again, tackling here, which, again, today is going to be the first day in pads, right? Talk about that from a defensive back perspective, from a linebacker perspective, just defense in general. Fletch, you've said this to me a million times. You hear a good defense before you see it. That's talking about communication, but it's also talking about laying that wood.
Oh, yeah. laying lumber.
Wait. Laying lumber.
Sorry. Look, y'all guys funny, man. Hey, great defense communicate. I'm looking forward to seeing this defense communicate as we transition to a new drill.
And for me, it's all about speed to the ball. We talked about the attitude coming, starting in the meeting rooms, translating over the field. Everybody running to the ball. It's not one person in on tackle. It's 9, 10 guys in on the tackle running to the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we could talk about this all day, but we got to get back to the studio. Brian, back to you.
Fans, it's time to make your power move. Brought to you by Bank of America, official bank of the Washington Commanders. Our guys will be on the sideline all training camp long, and we want you to tell us what position groups Logan and the guys should highlight each show. To vote, scan the QR code on your screen and select who you want to be featured in this Sunday's live show. Tanner, as we wait for Fred, help these folks out, man.
Yeah.
Who should they pick from? Defensive line, running back, secondary, or linebackers? Who do you want to talk about next?
I think it's hard, man, when you look at that group, those group of positions. I think the one stand out to me is just the running backs. You talking about Austin Eckler, B-Rob, and what he brings to the table. Those guys, that friendly competition that you're going to be seeing against those two guys is only going to make that running back core better. So those would be the guys that I'll be looking forward to highlight a little bit.
Definitely going to impact the quarterback play, the receivers. Everything starts with those running backs, man. So I'm excited to talk about them too. Now, we are going to go to break to give Fred a chance to run back. I'm sure when he gets here, he'll be super sweaty, but we'll welcome Fred back. And when we get back, we will be answering fan questions to end the show. See y'all after this break.
Why always the couch? Does he need to go to puppy school? Get his little puppy diploma? How much have I been spending on this little guy?
When your questions about life turn into questions about money, there's Erica, the virtual financial assistant to help you spend, save, and plan smarter. Only from Bank of America. What would you like the power to do?
The final stone of the championship.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary.
Roger, this is looking good.
We believe every moment in sports should be epic.
Is that curling? Nah.
This morning's news, curling fever has taken over the world.
So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
What you doing? Searching. For what? My financial wellness. Stop searching. Go Northwest. I went to Northwest Federal Credit Union. Totally better than a bank. And they helped me figure out how to make my money work for me. I even got a great credit card that pays 2 times the points. But can they help me find my car keys? Stop searching. Go Northwest.
Hey, grab me one too.
Join me as I take a deep dive into the least insulted ticketing app in history, SeatGeek. Did SeatGeek invent the ticket?
No, but we do make them work.
Drum roll, please. Ooh, how do I use the Seat View feature?
It shows seats with a pole blocking the view. Don't buy those.
What if I want to sit behind a pole?
Buy those.
Join me as I bore you to death with a series of interviews about a ticketing app that just does what it's supposed to do.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Fred's back from outside in that heat, so it's time to cool off out here at training camp. Let's get into some ice-cold questions brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders. Fellas, my favorite part of the show, getting to interact with the fans, and they sent us some good questions. So we're going to get right into it. Fred, I'm going to start with you.
What you got?
It's good to have you back, by the way, brother. It's good to have you back. All right, first question. You kind of hit on this a little earlier.
Yeah.
How does the fans at training camp impact the intensity and the excitement of practice session for the players? That is from @CheddarBob804.
Cheddar Bob.
At CheddarBob804, let me tell you this. First of all, nobody wants to get burnt in front of their family, friends, and wife out here at training camp. And when the fans come, it's like a bigger microscope comes on the practice field. So we're not really playing at a high intensity like a game, but our mind frame is there because guess what? We want to impress y'all every chance we get a chance to.
I mean, he said it best, man. It's that almost game-like experience.
Yeah.
And it's more intimate because the fans are literally right there, close up on you.
Yeah.
And I think the most important thing to look at is some of these guys' wives and kids be here. See, I never wanted that kind of pressure. I never wanted to bring them, that kind of family. I would have a couple of friends here and there, but I didn't want my kids out here all the time. They might pop in, but when you got your wife and your kid out here, or your mom and your dad, you don't want to look bad.
But you know the thing about it is your son walk up to you. What happened against Santana today? Dad falls short sometimes, son.
Great question. Great question. We have another one. This is from @_YUNIQE. I think that's unique _.
Yeah. Okay.
What role do you guys think Luke McCaffrey will play in this offense? Tan, I'll start with you.
Oh, that's to be determined. I think, when you're looking at this time of the year, it's going to be a lot of competition. I think immediately when you look at his family tree, guys are kind of slotted him already as that number 3 guy. But we don't know. We don't know if he's going to go out there and get another guy.
Yeah.
You don't know if somebody out here is going to outshine him. But I think he's one of those guys to keep your eye on. I can't sit here and say he's going to have this focal point, when it comes to the offense and what they're doing this year. But I know he's one of those guys that come from a tree of ballers. So when you got that kind of, pedigree on your team and in your lineup, there's no telling what he's going to do and how much he's going to contribute, to this offense this year.
Well, I think the fans see this guy used to play quarterback. He used to play running back. He plays wide receiver. He return kicks. He return punts. So they're like, oh, yeah, he's just going to be all over the place. He's a wide receiver. Let's just be honest with you. He's a wide receiver. Now the question is, how fast does he absorb this playbook? Second of all, now we finna see, can he make receiver plays against pro cornerbacks? Now we finna see, what's his strong point? Is it getting deep? Is he a possession receiver? These are the things you don't find out until I see you on the field with other pros. Do I think he has a bright future? Yes. Do I think we need to be patient and let him develop? Yes. Could he be a day one starter? Yeah, I can't say he can't. But what I can say is we have to see the maturation happen with other football players on the field.
And Fred, to your point, it takes time. Just 2 years as a wide receiver. So it's going to take time, but sky's the limit when you look at a guy like that. I mean, we're talking about him possibly starting. He's only played 2 years at wide receiver. Another great question. We got one more, and this is from @BigBrussels. Fred, I'm going to start with you because I know you're going to like this one. What are some of the most exciting 1-versus-1 battles that you all remember during camp?
Big Brussels? Is it Big Brussels Sprout? Or he just Big Brussels?
I think he just Big Brussels.
All right, one-on-one. And me and Santana in London, Sean was talking about this before we even came on the practice field. Taylor Jacobs. And I know y'all going to forget this name. We drafted him out of Florida. And when I say Taylor Jacobs, fast, strong, hard out of those cuts, strong hands, can make every catch. And he frustrated us at practice. Like, he really gave us hell at practice. He was dead good. So it frustrated us when we got in the game, and he wouldn't do that to the other defensive backs. But when I say I battled against him 100-degree weather. With, like, when I say he would keep coming, he would just keep coming. He's a pro. Taylor Jacobs, y'all remember that name.
Who got the best of those battles?
Oh, I did. That's not a question.
Of course he's going to say himself.
I had to give it to him. Say, what about you, man?
I think this is easy for me to sit here and pat myself on the back, but I won't do that. The one I remember the most that stood out to me, especially my first year, and both of these guys are no longer here with us, the wide receiver, David Patton, and I guess you can call him Beast. They had so many names from Sean Taylor. Sean used to come over and do one-on-one drills as a safety against the receivers. And I remember DP like, hey man, come get some of this work from him, man. I'm tired of this dude coming out here. And Sean called me out of cover. He's like, come on, Tanner, come over and get some too. And I said, bro, I'll give you what you're looking for. but he always went against the X receivers most of the time. And at the time I was playing Z. And he used to give DP some work. And I remember we ended up going against each other one time. And I remember I got him, and I'm twitched up, so I got out of my break so quick on him. And Sean was fast; he will recover. Yeah. But we was in the red zone. He said, "Bro, see now I see why you a problem with beef, because you're not only fast, you're quick and you're fast." Yeah. And those competitions, man, right? I remember it was 2005. Those competitions that year got us all better, just knowing that he was coming over there and he was going to give any receiver that work. And he was a safety. He was a guy that we never want to see, because you don't see safeties one-on-one. Those guys normally practice one-on-ones with the tight ends.
With tight ends and running backs.
And stuff like that. But he came out there and got that work against the receivers.
Truly iron sharpening iron. And that's what we're going to see all training camp. Fellas, it has been a lot of fun being live with you guys, but we are not done with the fun. We will be right back here on Tuesday, August 6th for another edition of Command Center Camp Coverage. And you already know we're talking Tanner's favorites. That's right, it'll be all about the offense. We did 2 about defense, so now it's time to talk all about offense. Fellas, y'all ready for that?
Man, you know what? Always. Offense sell tickets, defense win championships. We know how it goes.
Yes, remember to tune in August 6th and August 12th, starting at 9 a.m. on the Commanders YouTube, Facebook, and X social pages. And if you miss us before then, you can catch us on Command Center Thursdays. We out.